Hello, welcome to Business Process Reengineering provided by Digitrex. What is business process reengineering? Business process reengineering is defined as fundamental rethinking and radical redesign of business processes to achieve dramatic improvement in performance such as cost, quality, and cycle time. There are two parts of business process reengineering. The first part is the PMO, present mode of operation, in which we look at the existing processes and review all the steps and document all the steps. Future mode of operation is the review of the existing steps within a process and come up with the following uh, scenario where you allow steps in the process uh, that must be performed in a natural order, or several jobs may be combined into one. Work is performed where it makes most sense. Processes have multiple versions. Check and controls are reduced. In other words, you don't want to have the checkers checking the checkers. Uh, Workers are empowered to make decisions uh, for these processes. The business process mapping, and the best way to begin the process is to look for processes from the customer's perspective. You can start by identifying your customer trigger events, which are all the interaction points your company has with its customers. Then you can develop a customer scorecard. To create the scorecard, have your team members do short interviews with customers to find out what customers need, want, and require of the processes and how the processes are currently performed. Compile the data and look for problems, trends, and things that are working well. This can help provide valuable insights on best practices as well as goals for improvement. As you look at these customer-facing processes, you will also need to look at the visible and transparent supporting processes, the things your customer never sees. Then create a graphic presentation of the major processes, including how they interrelate and support each other. In the second step, we will explore information gathering. You need to conduct process interviews and review any existing documentation to gather information and have a full understanding of the following 8 areas in your service lifecycle management operations. Responsibilities. Identify the key responsibilities for the process area and who is responsible for those actions. Objectives. Answer the question, what is being accomplished? This will help you determine the objective and goals for the process. Activities. Here you want to look at what actions are being performed in the process, including current policies and procedures. When and where the actions are performed, and how the action are performed. In other words, what is being utilized to perform this action. Uh, for example, pencil, paper, specific software, database, etc. Be sure to identify every task and every decision. Inputs. This is any input into the process. This can include resources like people, materials, and equipment like software. Be specific by listing out types of materials, names of reports or queries, software being used, etc. Output. This is whatever is produced as a result of the action. The key deliverables of each activity, including both product and services as applicable. Customers. You should already have your scorecards from the previous step. Be sure you've captured information from all recipients of all of the output of each activity, including both internal and external customers. Risks and controls. Here, you need to identify what risk exists with this process. Ask yourself, what can stop this process from being accomplished? And what could go wrong? And what controls can be put in place to minimize those risks? Make sure you have at least one control for each risk. Key performance indicators. These will help you define the measures and the metrics of success for the process. For example, you can measure cycle times for the process. These can also be broader to include multiple processes. For example, service level agreement, compliance, and workforce utilization. Interviewing and mapping. Here you want to break down each process into individual steps being performed from start to finish and document work that is actually being done from the people who are doing the work, not what is supposed to be done or what you think is happening. This can be done through observation, interviews, and or meetings. You need to get specific about the items, tasks, steps, and decisions in the process. Being too general can mean overlooking important areas of efficiency improvements. Use the following questions as a guide to help you break down the steps in your process. Here are some of the questions that you need to ask. Who performed each activity? What generates the process or the task? What forms and reports are used? What computer systems, specific software programs, and files are used? How do we do it? Why do we do it? Are there any alternatives to the activity? What products, tools, supplies are needed? What decisions are made in the process? What happened next? What sequence are the activities performed in? Who reviews it and when? What approvals are needed? How long does it take? How does this affect the customer? What is the nature, frequency, and cause of errors or problems? How are errors, problems, exceptions handled? Where does the output go? What rules need to be taken into consideration? Once you've documented the process, verify your work with people who actually perform the process. Is anything missing or inaccurate? Could the person not familiar with a process understand the flow? Once you've got your current existing processes documented, you will be ready to analyze and improve the process. This is the present mode of operation, PMO. One good way to organize your analysis is to use Stephen Shapiro's 7 R's of process innovation. Rethink, reconfigure, reassign, resequence, relocate, reduce, and retool, as originally described in his book, 24/7 Innovation. Rethink. Why do it this way? What are the assumptions? Is there a completely different way to accomplish this objective? Is there a better, faster, cheaper way to complete the most expensive, slowest, poorest quality steps? Reconfigure. How can the activity be eliminated? Can we consolidate common activities? How can reconciliation be reduced by putting quality at the source? Can we eliminate handoffs and non-value adding work? How can sharing information with suppliers and clients improve the process? Resequence. How can predicting increase efficiency? How can parallelism reduce time? How can we minimize the number of interconnections and dependencies? Relocate. Can the activity be moved closer to the client or the supplier? Can the activity be moved to related activities? How can we decrease cycle time by reducing travel time and distance? Reduce. How can the frequency of the activity be reduced? How would more information enable greater effectiveness? How can critical resources be used more effectively? Reassign. How can the customer or suppliers, partners, perform this activity? How can the activity be outsourced? How can cross-training integrate and compress tasks? Retool. How can technology transform the process? How can the activity be automated? How can skill level changes improve the process? Benchmarking process. This process begins once you've completed and document the present mode of operation and define the future mode of operation. This is where you need to start doing benchmarking against companies that excel in this area and some of the best in class companies that do similar processes. You need to capture what makes them successful. You begin the process by measuring your own performance. You identify performance variable and collect the data. You determine which function to be benchmarked. You select best-in-class companies. You measure best-in-class performance. You specify programs and action to meet or surpass. You implement and monitor. You compare and then recalibrate. This is the whole process of benchmarking to determine where you stand against the best in class or the best breed for these functions or processes. My observation, this observation stage comes after you've completed your present mode of operation and define your future mode of operation. This is just an example of a call center providing customer support, what issues and concerns that was identified in the future mode of operation to correct some of the problems that was identified during the interview process. This is just an example of a call center providing customer support. We identify that trouble report quality assurance does not exist as systematic end-to-end process. This exists largely because trouble reports are not organized nor viewed from a process orientation. There were limited statistical application. What I mean by that When you have a bunch of trouble report, you need to analyze and see if there's common elements among these issues. Maybe there's a root cause that we need to identify and fix immediately. Limited ongoing analysis of trouble report process performance relative to customer expectations and corporate financial objectives. So if we have a service level agreement, we need to create the service level agreement to make sure that we're following what we promise the customer to do or provide a service. Uh, Service level agreement must be developed uh, to be able to measure against your performance to make sure that you're meeting your goals and expectation to this service level agreement. No correlation or linkage across the entire process or the corporate objective. So there's no association between the entire process and the corporate objective. What is the corporate objectives? What do we follow? What is the mission, the vision of the corporate policies? There's no linkages or connection there. No root cause analysis of existing multiple trouble report. As indicated before, you need to do analysis to see if there's a one issue that causing all the problems and identify it and correct it immediately. Sometimes you identify these root cause by cause code. Cause code will be assigned to every trouble report to determine what was the fix and how was the issue was resolved. So once you pull the root cause analysis, you'll be able to determine how many trouble reports have been assigned to this cause code that created these issues and be able to nail down the problem and fix it permanently. No manual exists for customers to reduce and screen trouble reports. So the agent does not have a manual to follow to see what existed issues for a specific customer. There's a repeat of the same problem. No troubleshooting guide available for customer service representative. There was no trouble guide. Normally you will have a system or whereby the agent will have to follow certain steps to be able to troubleshoot and determine where the issue is so that they can focus on the problem. No requests for feedback survey when work is complete. You know, after you finish and issue the problem, you don't request a feedback from the customer to see if that problem was really fixed to their to best of your ability and to customer satisfaction. We need a survey to really follow up and measure our success. Handoff to a second tier support is not seamless nor customer focused. No service level agreement drafted to measure performance. Quality indicators do not exist. No capture and analysis of market trend data. No standards for performance and operation apparent. Concern for presence of quality control and assurance functions in a future environment. And new system. You add a new system like CRM, customer relationship management, or any other system, you need to have some kind of quality control and quality assurance functions. Updates to customer data is manual and not automated. Names like change control does not fit the function. A better name may be product review board. An account manager is doing the function of customer service representative. Future call center must have all service representative in the groups identified as customer care and second-tier support using uniform call distribution or automatic call distribution for efficiency and management reports. After completing the present mode of operation and determine the future mode of operation, and then do your benchmarking and begin your process for future mode of operation by changing your processes, by all the improvement and efficiency, you'll be looking at downsizing, eliminating some job, or take some employee and relocate some of the employee that were doing these functions because of automation or because of efficiency. Now you don't need as many employees as you used to in the past. So by downsizing, you will create something called SARA. SARA is the result of downsizing, relocation, or job elimination, which gonna create some issues with the people that jobs has been eliminated. And the first reaction of Sarah is shock. The employee will be shocked to see that their job has been eliminated. They are angry. Anger will show. They will reject uh, the notion that they don't have a job anymore. And after a while, uh, they'll accept the fact, acceptance, and then they'll have some hope in the future of finding another job. And most people will find jobs somewhere else or within a company after they relocate, and they'll be happy and content for their future endeavor in future job selection.